Alright, I thought I would make a short tutorial on how I normally make my video shorts for YouTube. And if anyone has been watching me lately, they'll notice that I've been posting Resident Evil Boss Mania most of the time. And even though, yeah, it's an old game, as you can see, for the last week and a half or so, I've been doing really good on my shorts. As you can see, I've gotten 2,000 views on this short right here. They call him Chris the Invincible. I thought it was a good title, so I used that for the short. In terms of what tools I use, I'm using the CapCut video editing software, which is the free version. And even though, yeah, you could pay for the professional version, it's not necessary because the free version comes with all the tools you need to put shorts together or any other basic task for video editing. As you can see, it says here AI powered video editor for everyone, but I don't use the AI tools at all. I'm just using, like I said, basic tools for trimming and putting in captions for anything that I want to use to put a short together. And I try to keep my shorts under, say, 60 seconds or so, because you know a lot of people's attention spans nowadays tend to be very, very short, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to make these shorts too long. So the other thing that I have in terms of being able to capture my footage before I can make any shorts, I have the Adrenaline software, which is built into my video card driver. So it's pretty much like a package that comes with my graphics card. And I have the RX 5500 8GB GDDR6 card. And normally what I would have to do is, in terms of the hotkeys, I will have to press Ctrl+Shift+E in order to capture the footage before I can edit the videos for any of the shorts that I make. The other thing I forgot to mention, if you're using OBS Studio to make any content in terms of streams or recordings, it's fine for the most part. But I find that with the Adrenaline software, I didn't really have to configure anything. And with OBS Studio, you usually have to set the resolution and everything. But you see, with this Adrenaline software down here, I already have everything set up where I can just go down and select which resolution I want my videos to be in before I ever hit the recording button. So even though I'm using a 768p panel, which is my monitor screen's native resolution, I don't usually have to worry about that because the software, as far as is concerned, it doesn't really care about what kind of monitor you're using. And that's the advantage I have with using this software. So the first thing I would do is go back onto my YouTube channel to go and look for a video so that I could record some clips. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to use this one here, the Koke Pack 4 Marshland Huts. What I would do is I would go through the entire video to see if I could find anything that stands out. And I would hit Ctrl+Shift+E to record that section while the video is in full screen mode like this. Because if I try to record while I'm showing this other stuff on here, then it wouldn't look as clean. So that's the reason why I would have to make sure that I'm recording the footage in full screen mode. That's the first thing. The next thing I would do is open up the CapCut software and navigate over to where it says import so that I can start inserting the clips that I recorded previously. So when I click on here, I will go and look for the game recordings that I saved on my hard drive. My mass storage drive is what I mean. So these are the two clips here that I have. So I would select this one and open it, and I will drag and drop the clip onto the timeline like this. The next thing I will have to do is get rid of this red background so that I can start seeing the video clearly. It's not going to work this way if I leave it like this. So I will have to trim this out from here and then click on the button here to trim it out, delete that section, and then this is what I'm working with. Now, the reason why I selected this one is because at some point they had some alligators down the water, so I was trying to avoid them. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right there. So I just scrubbed over to this section right here, and this is what I would do. I would position the needle over to the point where I want to trim off so that the short wouldn't be too long, because the idea is to be able to highlight what it is you want to show, not the entire thing. So I would have to make sure that I'm in the right position and then trim off this section here at the back. Delete that. And since I recorded two clips, what I would have to do is go to the import button and select the other one so that I could bring it down and join this onto the other one. So I'll do the same thing for this section too. I'll just trim out this part here and delete it. And I'll go and look for that other section again when I was dealing with the alligators right there. So as soon as I jump down into the water, I had to deal with them. So highlight this section here and delete that. And then what I would do is I will look at my result that I have so far to make sure that it's good. There it is. As you can see, because I put the two clips together, it was able to transition between one and then the other one. And then that's pretty much what my short would look like. Now, in terms of captions, what I would do is I would take a look at the short again to see if I could come up with something that would be capturing, you know, something like, say, well, first of all, I'll have to go over to text and then click on where it says default and then drag and drop this down here. And since I'm dealing with alligators, what I will have to do now is highlight this and then type in something like gators in the water. Get out. Fast. You know, something like that. And I would go over where it says font size and trim this down so it will fit the screen. Because if I leave it too big or too wide, then people won't be able to see it. And then from here, I will scroll down to the font style. And I would expand this and select red. Usually a lot of my captions tend to be in red because I find that that color stands out the most. And then I would position the captions on the screen and keep it centered like this. The blue line that you see there on the screen is what's going to tell you if it's centered or not. So that way you don't have to measure anything. The software is doing everything for you. And then from here, I would position it on the timeline in the right place so that as soon as the gators show up, like they are right now on the timeline, leave it right here. And then it would highlight this. The way how this thing works, this is actually the duration of how long it's going to stay on the screen. So if I stretch it out like this, it's going to stay longer on the screen as I'm playing it from left to right. Like this. That's how it works. If I don't want it to be on the screen too long, I could shorten it like this. And then that way, when they press the play button on my short, it won't stay on the screen too long. That's what I mean. That's just one example of what I mean, you know, the captions. And then the last thing I would do is I would make sure that before I export the short to YouTube, I would have to make sure that the aspect ratio is set to 9:16. That way, everybody would be able to see it clearly on their phones. Because if I leave it in 16:9, it'd be too big. It wouldn't actually be uploaded as a short at all. It would actually be uploaded as a video instead. Once I'm able to get the aspect ratio in 9:16, then I can position the caption on the screen in the right position like this. And I will put it in full screen mode like this, so I can see where it is. That's exactly what I want. Gators in the water, get out fast. So I will just leave it like that. And then from there, I would play it from the beginning again to see how it looks. So just click on play here. It shows up there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. The transition just clicked in. And that's it. There's just one example of how my shorts look on YouTube. And this is how I actually do it. And as you can see, it's not that hard. And I find it's a lot of fun to do. It's not that hard to put the shorts together as long as you know what you're doing. So to recap, I just used the recording software to put the clips together on my hard drive. And I import them here on the software. And then I edit it down like this with the timeline. And that's pretty much it.